As a doctor who went from a negative net worth at age 33 to retiring from traditional medicine at the age of 40, many people ask, hey, what is the actual best investment you've ever made? And I have a lot of answers for that. So let's go through it. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 powerful investments I personally have invested in to build an 8-figure net worth by the age of 40. So the first one is bonds and CDs. This is a basic level of investment that I first got started in because I didn't have the highest level of investment education or financial literacy. And I really wanted to get some returns and some positive cash flow and passive investments. And so by you investing with your local bank or your brokerage, you can invest in these safe FDIC insured assets that would produce a 4 to 5% return. Not bad. And it gets you in the game. As you elevate and you get more financial literacy, it's number 2 is stocks. So stocks and options are a great way to start capturing the momentum of the US economy and the world economy and ride along with these companies and sharing their profits and dividends. And so that's what I started exploring next. I did some options trading. I invested in some investments using with my financial advisor, and I had access to a portfolio. And the cool thing is you're getting about, let's call it 7 to 12% returns annually. And this is what the stock market has averaged over the last 10 years. The last 2 years, mind you, there's been some amazing progress with the stock market. Some people are earning between 15 to even 20%. The challenge with the stock market is there's volatility, ups and downs. It's something to be mindful of. The next investment I started thinking about was real estate. I really wanted to invest in real estate, and initially I invested passively in what I call syndications. These are essentially groupings of people, private placement of real estate, taking money and in an SEC compliant way, investing and owning a piece of someone else's project. And this is a great way to get cash flow, tax advantages, distributions, and obviously back-end profit. The cool thing here is you can earn about an annualized return of about 15 to 20%. So that means taking all the distributions to the back-end profit and dividing it over a certain number of years. So then as we start investing, you get more sophisticated, and now you're learning about more advanced strategies. That's called private equity. So these are investments into holding companies or into funds that invest into these different companies, and these companies are turning around businesses. The interesting thing about that is the returns on these things can be quite lucrative. That you can have a 2, 3, 4, 5, even a 10x return of improving a business asset. And so that's why private equity is so powerful. If you look at the most wealthiest people in the world, and I've done this, I've talked to a lot of friends who are part of a group called Tiger 21. Tiger 21 is an elite mastermind group of people who have at least $21 million of assets that are investable. That's the criteria to get into this mastermind. And so you look at their asset allocation, about 20 to 30% of all their assets are always in private equity. Now, these 4 investments I just mentioned are great, but that is not how I ended up making the majority of my money or my wealth. It's investing in yourself. Talents, your skills is the highest ROI. One of my mentors, Alex Ramosi, talks about don't just think about the S&P 500, invest in the S&Me 500, right? Invest in yourself is the most highest leverage activity you can do because you make yourself insanely more valuable to the marketplace. And the way that translates is I've did the math recently myself, and I've invested over $400,000 into my own coaching and mindset, and it's yielded over $10 million over the last 7 years, which is a 61.7% return or a 25x ROI. I don't know of any other system or asset that you can invest that can yield this kind of return. This is known to all the greatest people out there, right? Jeff Bezos invested in himself, invested in his mindset, invested in his team, his company. Same thing with Elon Musk, same thing with Mark Zuckerberg. All the greats, all the top, most ultra wealthiest people, this is the investment vehicle that led them get to where they want to go. And the question really is, how did it work for you? I was ridiculed for having a mindset coach, a thinking partner. People were wondering, hey, dude, like that's expensive. Why are you putting your money there? My wife was questioning it and saying, hey, can we really afford this? Are you sure? This seems off the norm. But despite all that, I went all in because I knew that if I could think better, make better decisions, look at opportunities that other people are not looking at, become a contrarian, fortify and have a resilient mindset, that this would yield phenomenal results. In fact, I worked with a coach for 9 years in a row, the same coach. And in fact, it's been the single best investment I've ever made into myself. So you may be wondering, hey, what is coaching? What is it really? Well, it's, first of all, let's be very clear. No one needs coaching. No one needs extra person in their ear, right? Most of you who are listening to this channel or to this video are highly successful, and you're going to do well in life. Question is, can you do it quicker, faster, safer, better, with less stress, and with more authenticity? That's where coaching comes in. The way I think about coaching is this. If I'm in Virginia, I want to drive down to Miami, I could just go and do trial and error and make my way down there. Or I can have a co-pilot in the car, a buddy of mine who's driven the same path already several times and knows where all the street speed traps are, all the police are, detours, the traffic jams, and they can guide me quicker. And if they happen to have tools and technology like GPS, even better. They can also guide me on, hey, if I go too fast, maybe I'm going to use up all my fuel, versus, hey, go fast here, slow down here, turn left here, go right here. So you can see the power of having a co-pilot, a guide, a right hand, a sort of a Yoda. If you're Luke Skywalker driving down the path, you're always going to be the hero. You're always going to be the driver of the car. But it's very powerful sometimes to have that right hand next to you. You may be wondering, hey, is this therapy? Like, I don't need a therapist. Trust me, this is not therapy. Therapy is essentially looking backward and solving problems of your childhood or previous traumas and things like that. There's nothing wrong with that, and maybe that's what you need, and that can be helpful for many people. But coaching is looking forward. It's getting clarity of who you are right now and getting even more clarity of where you want to go and who you want to be. And then it's closing that gap, pulling all the levers and using the motivations and the pain points and your pleasure points to advance you in the direction you want to go. Inevitably, procrastination, resistance, obstacles, turbulence come along to slow you down. It's how to overcome those and still continue on your path. That's what coaching is. People are asking, hey, how do I find a coach? What is a good coach? I think some of the best coaches I've had are ones who've been there, done that. They've done the goals, they've achieved the outcomes I want to achieve. So they have a blueprint for me. Number two, they're not just coaching me on just one aspect of my life. They're more of a global coach. They understand mindset, physicality, vitality, science, health, physics. They're understanding meditation, nutrition. Like, they're able to give me a comprehensive view of how to be successful globally. It's hard to find. Number two is, as you become successful, you eventually move on to what I call sniper coaches. So those are global coaches, and then you need sniper coaches. Sniper coaches are those individuals who really have 10, 15, 20 years of mastery of one topic. So right now I'm working with a sniper coach who has over 3 million subscribers on YouTube, and they're helping with my YouTube channel. So they're very specific in what I'm trying to obtain from them. But the coach I met for 9 years, he was more of a global coach. He really helped me with my mindset, my relationships, my goals of physical fitness. He was helping me with hiring and firing and business creation. So you sometimes need both, but at the beginning, start with the global and eventually advance to your sniper coaches. So how does coaching begin? Like, what is the top thing that you can get from coaching? I would say the top thing you can get from coaching is clarity. Most people don't have this simple concept, and it prevents them from achieving an outcome or a goal or a direction because they're meandering, they're drifting, they're lost. Getting crystal clear on what you're meant to do on this earth and in the time frame you want to accomplish it, and what that looks like, what does victory look like, is so powerful. I'll walk you through an example, a thing perhaps my coaches have done for me, or a coach can probably do for you. The way you think about it is, don't go too far out. Don't think about 10 years or 5 years. 3 years is the right time frame to really come up with sort of a major transformative purpose, a long-term goal. What does your life look like in 3 years? And I'll give you an example. I was coaching one of my clients. She's an OBGYN, and her goal was, hey, look, in 3 years, I want to have 100 units under my belt that are mine. I'm not with any partners, just myself, that I'm managing. And so it was awesome. She got a 40, then I got a 60, then she sold some of her smaller properties, and she did this over the last 2 years. So even though this was her 3-year goal, she got it done in 2 years. Amazing. That's your 3-year goal. What does a 1-year goal look like? Let's bring the future a little bit closer. So, and a lot of times we overestimate what we can do in a year, but we underestimate what we can do in 3 years. And so that's why you need both that yin and yang. Let's say the same person, the doctor that we coached here who wanted 100 units, what would be her goal in a year? It'd be like, hey, I want to get my first 40 unit done. Okay, so that's a little bit more tangible. That's a little bit more doable. Yeah, I'm not as overwhelmed. 100 units seems a lot. 40 units, okay, I think I can figure that out. Then this is where most people fail again. And this is where I recommend going one more step. And that is a 90-day goal, right? Because if it's a year goal, you're probably not going to act on it until your 10th month mark, right? And so the 90-day goal keeps you honest. It's like, well, crap, I need to execute in the next 90 days to hit the 1-year goal, to hit the 3-year goal. So then it would be like, hey, let me submit, learn everything I need to do to underwrite and analyze my first 20-unit deal. And so they're putting in a bunch of offers for 20 units and they're learning how to do that. That's something under their control, right? And versus something under, like, if the deal gets accepted or they actually pull a deal down. That's the key. Do it where it's based on inputs and not outputs. That's a great way to do the 90-day goal. You may be wondering, hey, is it that easy? Oh, I just get a coach and automatically I get the results? Well, the answer is no. There are a lot of people who coach, but they still don't get the results. They fail. And why is that? One, they don't play full out. When you're getting coached, you gotta play 1,000% in, and I'm sure the coach will also put in 1,000%. That's what's needed. You need this partnership. It's co-creation. If one person doesn't play full out, the coach, remember, is not the driver. They're the co-pilot, right? They can't drag you to the finish line. Number two, you need to have not just coaching or mindset work or transformational thinking, you also need to have the tactics and strategies, also known as mentorship. If you combine this with a little bit of like consulting and having like a thinking partner, you have the whole enchilada. And so let me give you an example of how not having some of these pieces led to partial results. So I was coaching a married couple and they're based out of Boston, ready to go, and they wanted to buy some multifamily real estate while they're doing their day jobs. And they read all the books, they knew all the strategies, they knew all the tactics, but they didn't take the action. And I was like, worked with them for many months, and I was like, dude, what's going on here? And I realized they had a hole in their thinking process. Number one, they had to raise their standards. Number two, the identity they thought they were pursuing and their current identity were not congruent. And number three, they didn't have a powerful enough why. And so what I did was pair them with one of my top mindset coaches, and he literally in 2 calls transformed them. Similar to how a personal trainer goes after one of his clients and he pushes them to their limits, this is exactly what this mindset coach did. He was raw, authentic, and he pushed them to their limits of what they thought were possible. And in that short course of a couple of sessions, he transformed them. They were not the same human beings that had walked into that conversation. Something snapped, something clicked. And after that, they worked their tail off, and within 2 months, they got an 83 unit under contract, ready to rock and roll. Now, let me share with you an example of a doctor I worked with who had the mindset. Nothing could phase him. He was the most resilient person I know. One of his projects, one of his deals. In fact, he was so successful with his mindset, he was able to make the big pivot of leaving his ER job and really focusing on real estate full time. The challenge was there were some key tactics he needed to learn on raising capital, which were not shared with him. And so we started giving him the tactics that were missing. One is find a partner when you do deals who has more of an investor base versus both people who don't have investor bases. Number two, we showed him how to capture all the capital around him, including fellow physician colleagues, people in our limitless tribe. And we also showed him how to pitch deal in a way that's very attractive to new investors. And with that, he was able to raise $5 million for the deal and get it closed. So as you can see here with these examples, if you just have the coaching, you can have the mindset, you can do a lot of the work, but there may be some critical things missing if you don't have the tactics and strategies. But if you just have the pure tactics and strategies, you don't have the perseverance, the resilience, or the mindset in order to achieve those great goals. So by combining these two, when you have both of them together, it's like peanut butter jelly. Man, you put those two together, either one tastes good individually, but together, man, it's delicious. That's what coaching feels like and tastes like. The question really becomes, hey, how do I afford this? How do I pull this off? Well, number one, a lot of times when you do coaching, it's a business write-off because it's essentially business consulting, it's business mindset, all of that. Number two, coaching amplifies everything around you. Your relationships 10x. Even though you're going for business coaching or real estate coaching or stock or trading coaching, your mindset improves, your relationship improves. A lot of times the level of how you play those things spills over into everything. Like your workouts improve, you start meditating, you're more mindful. And so it's a synergistic effect, to say the least. And the crazy thing is I'm known as sort of a physician business coach. But the interesting thing is I've had a coaching client have saved their marriage, really strong relations with their children. I've had another coaching client lose 70 pounds. Right? That's the power of coaching and how it amplifies everything. And the final thing really is, period. Coaching is the single most powerful activity to achieve your goals faster, safer, and avoid big mistakes, period. So if you want 2 free coaching sessions with my expert coaches, click on the first link in the description and fill out that quick application. Note, this is really meant for established attending doctors who are ambitious, optimistic, and ready to take their life to the next level. If you're a resident, med student, or a physician who just wants more content, check out this interview I did with one of my mastermind clients.